Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. Sort of, but we have lots of stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays. I've got randomly an Amazon package I'm going to show you because it has some things in it that people have been asking about. We'll talk a little bit about the fact that I cannot breathe, and that's kind of annoying, and maybe ask some advice from some of you out there. But then we have lots of feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things and the video that we posted last Wednesday, and I really thought it would be fun to get into a lot of this. There's so much. And it would be a good discussion of the videos that we posted and a continuing discussion of what we were talking about as far as trying pure varietals, pure pipe varietals, and how interesting that is, how, I guess, educational that could be. We have a lot of good takes from you guys out there. So let's get into this. All right, upcoming videos. So the first video that you can look forward to, the first in line, finally, we're going to do the review of the Bark River Ultralite Bushcrafter. A beautiful blade that I've been carrying now for a couple weeks, 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks maybe. And I finally did the review of this. I wanted to give it some time, see what it was like to be carrying it every day. And I can safely say I love this thing. It is a beauty, and you should watch the review. It'll be out this Wednesday. Of course, we are still waiting for the review of the Roterfaden Taschenbegleiter, a beautiful, wonderful notebook system that I've been enjoying using quite a bit as well. We also are going to do another pure pipe varietal soon. I think this will be fun to kind of play this series out a little bit. I'm leaning towards pure Latakia as the next, not blend, as the next just pure, it's so hard to not say the T word. The pure varietal of pipe tea. I'm leaning towards just Cyprian Latakia, but if any of you have some other choices that you would like to see before Latakia, let me know and I'll see if I can get my hands on it. But I think Latakia would be fun because it's another one that's a very bold, very distinctive flavor that you wouldn't necessarily, well, maybe Latakia, you wouldn't think that you would want to have it just entirely. You wouldn't just want an entire bowl of it typically. So let me know in the comments below. And then of course, Elden Ring is continuing on Stuff and Things Plays. Probably the best game of all time. I'm close to being able to say that. And the series, probably the best game series of all time. I'll say it. I think you guys all agree with me if you've been watching the series. So check that out on Stuff and Things Plays, please. Okay, so when I was doing the review of the Bark River Ultralite Bushcrafter, I was showing an example of what I typically use a knife for. Obviously, I use it at work a lot as well, but for my day-to-day, not at work sort of stuff, I'm usually opening packages, like this one from Amazon. So I already cut into this, but there are things in this, and people have been asking me, let me show you here, what is the protein that I use? Obviously, I use protein, and in here, I have re-upped my protein supply, and I thought you might like to see what it is, because several of you have asked, and it is this, the Gold Standard 100% Whey. I get this on Amazon. It's about 34 bucks, and it lasts 2 months, so not too bad. At least it lasts me 2 months. I only do it 5 days a week. For muscle support and recovery, 24 grams of protein in each serving, 5.5 grams of BCAAs. I have no idea what that means. This is the chocolate malt flavor, which I find quite delicious. It's not bad at all. So if you use this, when I first got it, I put it in water and I just stirred it with a spoon. Not recommended. It's really lumpy, and when you just use it with water, it leaves kind of a weird aftertaste. So then I got a protein shaker, or protein shake shaker, and I started doing it with milk. So it's 8 to 10 ounces of milk. I put in a scoop of this, and then I also put in a teaspoon of creatine. and you shake that up. It's frothy, it's nice, it actually tastes good, so it's not like you have to swallow down your medicine, plug your nose, and ugh. This is actually pretty tasty. I haven't had any of the other flavors, but I like chocolate malt, and this tastes like chocolate malt. So, gold standard 100% whey protein. Also, what else we've got in there? This is just kind of a weird random little thing. It is a 4-way Silcock key. And it's basically, let's open this up. There are times when I am working and we'll be working on maybe sort of an industrial building or something like that, and I need access to water, and they may have hose bibs outside, but they often don't have just a normal faucet handle. And I always want one of these things. It's basically a key. This has several other different keys on it as well. Let me show that to you. But one key in particular will access a lot of the outdoor or on the side of an industrial building faucet, so I can actually turn it on and use the water on the building. So I'm always wanting one of these, and I never have it. I have to try to get like pliers and turn the thing on. So I got this. I thought that would be useful. And I guess if there's ever an apocalypse and you're running around, that might be useful too. And then the last thing in the box, which I think is pretty cool. So since I've been using this at work a lot, I've realized, you know, typically I would just have a utility blade at work, like box cutters or just what we call a utility knife. And that works okay, but since I've been using a normal actual knife, I've realized how much use I've been getting out of it at work. It's just super, super nice to have. The problem being, I don't know if you'll even be able to tell if you look at the sheath, because I've already kind of polished it out, but the sheath is just getting battered. And I'm kind of worried about the handle getting battered as well. So I have it on my hip, and you know, I'm doing concrete. There's just so much wear and tear that goes into anything that I use at work. My clothes, my boots, my tool belt, everything just looks completely battered. And I don't want this knife to get completely battered. I like using it. I like the fact that it can get used, but I mean, I think a replacement sheath is like $70, so I don't want to have to buy another sheath for it after 6 months of using it. So I thought maybe I would get a knife that I could use at work, a knife that was cheap, a knife that it wouldn't be a big deal to replace, and I picked up this. It is the Morakniv, or Morakniv, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, it's a Swedish company, and it is the Companion HD. Let's see if we can get this thing open. Very cheap knife. I think it was 20 bucks on Amazon. That's all she wrote. And in it, you have this nice little knife. It's actually not that little. I think it's over a 4-inch blade. But you have a plastic sheath, which is great because that will not get battered around, or if it does get battered around, it doesn't matter because it's only $20. And then you have a rubberized handle. Man, I can't get it out. There we go. And a fairly substantial blade. Over 4 inches. Looks like it has a Scandinavian grind there. I don't think it's convexed. I think it's just flat Scandinavian grind. This is the carbon version. It's made in Sweden. And the HD is a little bit thicker than the typical Morakniv. And yeah, this just feels great. It's a nice hand-filling handle. I think the handle's a bit thicker in the HD version as well. And I think this will be super useful. Looks like it has a nice, robust point. Doesn't feel super, super sharp. Let's see. Will it cut paper? Yeah. Actually quite well. Will it shave me? My fiance will be annoyed about this because I'm constantly shaving bits of my arm. Not really. It's not shaving me. So I'll probably strop this. I don't know. I might get out my water stones and do kind of like a secondary convex on this. Convex the Scandi grind. But yeah, I think this will be a great knife for use at work because, like I said, the sheath can be on my hip. It won't get battered. I get concrete all over everything, and then that just like, that is not good for leather at all. And this is just really, I like kind of the industrial quality of this. Seems like it's going to be super useful. So very cool. a Moraniv, or Moranif, or whatever you say. Made in Sweden. It's the Companion HD. Maybe I'll do a review of this at some point as well. Cool. But gang, you gave a lot of feedback for last week's Sunday video and the Wednesday video. Now it's all out of order. Let me reorder this thing. Page 2, page 1. So let's get into it. If you have any questions that you would like to ask me, you can tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag askstuffandthings. You can also send me questions via Patreon. That is much appreciated, and you'll go to the front of the line. Or you could leave comments on YouTube videos. I try to go through every single video and read every single comment, and I will pick out good questions or any feedback from there as well. But first, via Twitter, we have a question from Rob Linneman. Rob says, "Good evening. I hope you and your fiancé had a pleasant holiday. I just rewatched your review of the Merchant Service Bing pipe from early 2020 and was wondering if your opinion of the pipe has changed over the last 2 years. I'm thinking about acquiring one in the near future and value your opinion. Thank you for all you do for the pipe community." Thank you, Rob Linneman, for watching and for writing in. I have to admit that I have not used the Bing pipe for a long time. It seemed perfectly serviceable for me, or to me, but the fact that I have, because of the generosity of a lot of amazing people, Costellos and Dunhills and Ashtons and really beautiful pipes, the Bing doesn't really get into the rotation all that often. That's not to say it's not a great pipe, but I am spoiled for choice, and the pipes that I do have in my rotation are amazing. So it's kind of like the difference, maybe it's the difference between this Bark River Ultralite Bushcrafter and the Moraniv. I'm sure this is a great knife. This is an amazing, beautiful knife. This one will do pretty much everything I think I need it to do. I don't know yet because I haven't really used it, but I have the feeling that it will. But there's just a little extra edge for this one because it's just gorgeous and wonderfully finished. So I think that's kind of the way it is with the pipes. I think the Bing is maybe like the Mora knife of pipes. Next, we have a question from Marcelo Cast. "Hi, Bradley. First of all, thanks for a lot of your great content." A lot of my content? What about all of my content? "Here in the channel, I saw some videos in the past where you were S-ing a C and would like to know if you still S them and what your favorite Cs are. Cheers." So he's talking about the long, cylindrical things that often come from Latin or South American countries. I like them. I don't have them all that often. My very favorite of all time are the Padron, man, I can't remember the numbers now. The 2000? Is it the Padron 2000? I'm not totally sure. I like the Maduros, I like the Natural. I'm not a connoisseur of C's by any means, but I really like those Padron. Next, we have some feedback for the SSAT, the Sunday Stuff and Things from last week. We had a lot of feedback for that. I couldn't get all of it on here. I had to pick and choose, but if you were not featured on this, don't feel bad. It was just there were too many. First, from Chad Curtis. "Hi, Bradley. What a great idea for a series," talking about the Trying Pure Pipe Varietal series. "Yes, I have tried many straight T's, and straight St. James Perique was one of the first ones I tried. It seems like kind of the obvious choice because it is such a distinctive flavor. Besides straight Virginias and Burleys, of course. Wow, straight Perique is not for the faint of heart. It's really spicy with fermented plum and raisin as well as much deeper, darker flavors. I would compare this to sprinkling hot sauce on food or just eating a tablespoon straight to understand the flavor." We're gonna get into a little bit more of that later. "You are correct. It really helps one to train your palate and understand what you are tasting in these different blends. I also have some jars of the Wellars 100% straight Syrian Latakia. That was very interesting to try straight." Yeah, I've never had straight Syrian Latakia. It's a lot of intense flavor and weirdly a flavor of red wine without the Virginias or anything else blended in to even out the flavors. Interesting. Maybe you would like a sampler of this for science. Let me know if you would for the series and I'll send some. Thanks again for the great content." Maybe, Chad. I'm gonna try Cyprian Latakia. I don't know. I mean, Syrian would be cool, but I kind of want to do this for people so they can try it as well, and it would be really hard for people to get their hands on Syrian, but thanks for the offer. Next, from AZHawk516, I have tried component teas, and it definitely helped to pick out the various flavors and blends. I'll be interested in your take. Next, from Biff Klimpo. I like that name for some reason. It just rings for me. To truly understand tea as a serious hobbyist, I think it's definitely a good idea. You might try your hand at blending, or what I do is punch up a lackluster blend with what I feel is missing. That's what makes it a hobby. It's tea tasting more than essing. Perique is rough. I find Latakia to be not bad. Dark Friared is a challenge, like a super strong C. Excited to see how it goes. Yeah, I might do that occasionally. I've only ever tried to make my own blend once, and it didn't work out too well. I don't know why, just didn't really taste all that great, but it's something I might delve into a little bit, or like you said, maybe adding a few components to something here and there. Next, from Paragon Piper, IS straight Perique regularly. It's not too strong. Mostly one note, but tasty. Just try it in a meerschaum because you'll get the most taste out of it, and it will be a wet S. So the meerschaum will help a lot. Interesting, Paragon Piper. I think you have something in common with someone we'll be mentioning a little further down in the messages here. But you go for it. Go for it if you like it. John Robinson says, I asked Perique by itself one time, and it was horrible. There's a positive comment below about straight Perique, and I won't argue because the breed, processing, and moisture content could change the experience quite a bit. On the other hand, I've essed straight red Virginias, and it's very nice. Back when you were looking for a replacement for Elizabethan, I thought about recommending straight red Virginia. Yeah, that's a good shout maybe because there is red Virginia in Elizabethan, but there are other varietals in there as well, and I have had straight red Virginia. It's not bad, but it's not something, it wouldn't recapture what I would like, or what I liked out of Elizabethan, and now don't have to worry about that anyway. Next, from Alex Ignobilis. If you need ideas, I'm sort of skeptical on Burleys. So you're suggesting Burleys? I like my Solani aged Burley flake, but other than that, I have never really found a great one. Why don't you do a top 5 Burley blends video? Kudos if you find some blends available in Europe. I'd love to watch a video on sharpening too. Personally, I'm using the Spyderco exclusively these days because it's so simple and quick. Yeah, we'll see about that. The Spyderco is very simple, very quick. It's the Spyderco Sharp Maker where you have these angled ceramic rods, and at the angle, depending on the angle that you have the rods, that will be the angle that you're sharpening the bevel on your knife. And that's good for secondary V-edges and things like that, but I have kind of moved towards doing either full convex edges or secondary convex, and I can't really do that on the Sharp Maker anymore, so that's why I've been using the Japanese water stone. So maybe we'll do a video on that. Lots more to go here, gang, but all good stuff. Good feedback, good comments. Next, from, this is feedback on the Pure Perique video. This is from Daniel Geripi. A gastronomic analogy to this. A person who enjoys eating a Cinnabon sits himself down in front of a jar of unsweetened cinnamon and proceeds to devour the entire contents, one spoonful at a time. Don't try this at home, kids. And that is very good, Daniel, because this really reminded me of a time, something, maybe not one of my finest hours, but I thought it was funny at the time. I was making ginger snaps. For those of you internationally, it's a cookie with ginger in it, kind of like a molassesy, delicious cookie. Ginger snaps, they're great. There is ginger in it. And at the time, I was like a teenager, and my little brother was very young. He was probably, how old would he have been? 4, maybe? Something like that. And I was making ginger snaps, and he knew I was making ginger snaps, and he was bugging me. He wanted to lick the spoons and all that stuff. And then I had the jar of ginger, and obviously it's not raw ginger, it's the spice form of ginger. And I can't remember if he asked me what it was or whatever, but I said, oh, well, I'm making ginger snaps. You love ginger snaps, don't you? So I bet you'd really like ginger. And he was like, yeah. And he wanted to try the ginger, so I gave him, admittedly, a very small, but still a larger amount than you would want of just straight ginger spice. And he took it into his mouth, and then he screamed and ran away. And I thought it was hilarious, but that's kind of the exact same idea. Perique in a blend is delicious. Having a big mouthful of Perique or a pipeful of Perique, maybe not so much. Next, from FedeU. Hi B, great video. I think the one thing missing is where one can get this. I mean to say, by the way, my allergies have been horrible. I mentioned the whole breathing thing. I have this post-nasal drip constantly it's not been good. I mean to say, where can pure Perique be bought nowadays? Preferably in a tin. Not residing in the US means that I'm not able to buy it in bulk. And to make things harder, I was told that McConnell's Pure Perique is not actually St. James Parish True Perique. You can find blending Perique pretty much anywhere. I mean, at least on the websites that I have seen in the US, I can't get it because I can't have anything shipped to Washington, but I know Essing Pipes and Cigars, I think, Four Noggins, they all have areas. You have to get it in bulk typically, though. You're not usually going to find a tin of a blending tea. But you can get bulk Latakia, you can get bulk Perique. Look around, you'll find it online. Next, from Steve Rochon. Interesting idea. I've heard that it's recommended for a tea-esser who enjoys the complex taste of blends to taste the individual components, so you can discern the various layers hitting your palate. I've done this with Cavendish, Burley, and of course, Straight Virginia. But it never occurred to me to Straight Perique or Latakia. Thanks for going where others fear to tread. Thank you, Steve Rochon. Next from Sherry Dog. Very cool, oh no, Schnary Dog. Very cool experiment. Glad it was you and not me. Interested to know how the experience compared to Essing Gawith's Brown No. 4. I don't really like Perique, but I do like Brown No. 4. Thanks again. I don't know. I don't know what correlation you're making between the two of them. Maybe just because they're both strong. Brown No. 4 is very strong, but it doesn't taste anything like pure Perique. So yeah, I wouldn't compare the two experiences at all, really. But thank you for the question, Schnary Dog. Next, from Jason Parsons. They say Aleister Crowley used to Straight Perique that he had soaked in rum. Yeah, that does not surprise me because he was a freak. And who was the freak who also mentioned that they like the Straight Perique? Paragon Piper. So you have something in common with Aleister Crowley. I hope you feel proud of yourself. All right, gang, but that was a lot of good feedback, and there were a lot of great comments. Thank you so much for sending those in, and please keep sending them in. But now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. It is much appreciated, and it is super useful, especially now when we can't monetize any of the videos that have anything to do with pipes or pipe essing. It helps pay for the fancy camera that is filming this right now, the lights shining upon me, blends and items that we get for review. It is all super useful. If you would like to support the channels, there is a link to our Patreon in the description below. You can also hit that super thanks button if you wish to donate directly. But every week we thank those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Just Glenn, Jason Buckner, Gloria Phillips, a woman, MDoftheNorth, David Gaudreau, Mr. Luxurious, and Nick Papageorgio. And of course, the Maniacs, our good friend Peter Straub, award-winning author, Bob Magee, stolid and dependable, and Ashes of the Phoenix. Thank you so much. They support the channels at $100 a month, which is insane. Thank you so much for that. Gang, thank you so much for watching. Please keep those comments, those feedbacks, the feedback coming on all the videos. Leave me comments, questions on Twitter, Patreon as well. Please stay tuned for the review of the Bark River Ultralite, the Bark River Ultralite Bushcrafter coming up this week. An amazing knife. I really, really enjoyed it. We're going to be having our Elden Ring series every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll have more of the pure pipe varietal stuff coming up. Just all sorts of good stuff in the horizon, or on the horizon, in fact. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.